Muy buenos dias, mi amigos. Grand risings to you all. My name's Julian, and we're going to be going through an easy mobility stretch flow to just get ourselves open, really engaged with our body, and a way to start the day with a win. So let's get started. I'm going to start off in this position. This is a sort of a Z press position. It's almost like a 90-90, but I'm pulling my heel in closer to my crotch, my heel closer into my glute. And just from this position, I'm going to work around a nice little stretch by reaching out with my elbow down to the side. And I'm going to breathe through it. We're going to flow through these exercises with small pauses, just so that we can search out the range of motion that I'm looking for in the rest of my day. So I've changed one angle, and I'm going to move into another angle. And I want you to feel free to just kind of swoop around and change angles in which you're folding. Just a good way to get a little bit of glute opening without being too aggressive about it, like the pigeon pose, for example. Oh yeah, there we go. I can feel that in the lower back as I'm pulling my chest down towards the toes, using my other hand to help kickstand and push me over there. All the way through my lower back, up through my ribs. Breathe into that. Nice. And then from here, let's see how much range I have as I pull my shin over. Oh, that's a tough one. Every body is going to be a little different. The way that I feel a stretch is going to be different from the way that you would feel a stretch. So right now I'm just going to do a couple of hip extensions in this position, thrusting to open up my hips and to activate the glutes that I just stretched. Let's try 5 from here. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. All right. I'm going to extend this a little further. This is a flow, so nothing is exact. It's just being intuitive about how I feel from one exercise to the next. So what I feel right now is an extension of that first tucked leg. So now I'm in this hurdler's position. Okay, my leg is still there, my right leg's still there, but my left leg is forward and extended. And for some of you, it may be very difficult to be here. Make sure you flex the ankle so that the knee is protected. And again, like the first exercise, I'm just going to explore. I'm going to go over to my left. And then over my kneecap. Yep, go over the kneecap. And then towards you, the camera. A little space between the knees. And then if I can pull back this way, I'm getting a little bit of, it seems like it's going to cramp here at the, I think this is the TFL. Yeah, that's the muscle right there. Hip flexor. But no, it's not. And I come forward. And then I go over the knee. And then I go over to the side, behind. And just moving around between those. Reaching for the toes. That's nice. And then I'm going to lean back and fall into the water. No. And just to give that quad a little love, I'm going to bring that foot a little closer in. Knee's going to align more with the other knee. And then I'm going to lean back. And I just feel that nice quad stretch. You can tuck the toes on this one to get even the ankle as well. So part of doing a flow sequence is setting yourself up in positions where you can hit multiple things at once without too much transition. So see how I've kind of minimized the shift in position and gotten 3 big areas: the glutes, the hamstrings, and now the quad. I can even extend my arm. Oh yeah, that's really nice. And there we have. Let's sort of move and mobilize through that. Let's take that foot and pull the knee up and down, getting a little joint movement. Internal rotation, external rotation. Really good. Feels like I'm just greasing the joint, bringing some synovial fluid inside the hip socket. All right, and from here, let's exchange that. Now bring the foot inwards. And this will be the last one for this sequence here. The foot is tucked in. This is one of my favorite stretches. We're gonna go into a reach, but this is gonna be a cross reach. So the opposite hand, so right hand is gonna go towards the left foot. Now this is more of an advance. I know this is an easy stretch sequence, but when I say easy, it's easy transitioning. You're gonna grab that foot with the outside of the hand. You're gonna bend the knee just slightly so you can bind. Then reach under and push that knee down. Maybe even peek underneath. And that is a deep, deep stretch for the hamstrings, for the body parts that are rotating and pretzeling. I feel that through the right lower back, lower quadrant, the right obliques, the right ribs, all the way through my shoulder, and of course the hamstring. I'm just trying to get to a place of calm. I know that this stretch is screaming at me. I'm gonna see if I can lower that scream into a yell, and that yell into a loud into a medium volume into a small, and then into a sing, something that's singing, humming, and just quiet. Okay, slowly come out of that. That was really good. Okay. Now we're going to transition to the other side, but before we get doing that, we're going to go into our classic windshield wiper with your hands behind you with support. Chest is lifted. We take our knees to one side and the other. Yeah, I can feel one side is definitely a lot more open now. It feels so cool when you can do that. When you can open up one side and then feel the difference. It's like one side has been treated with that oil, the other one's still waiting and wanting that WD-40. It's like, give it to me, my turn. The body will naturally itself rebalance, even if we don't do anything explicit or intentional. It'll want that balance. But over time, the imbalances add up, and things happen like an injury. Okay, let's tuck in that heel. I'm giving myself a little bit more space. Don't you love this background? I'm on a floating cottage. If you've seen my other yin restorative, same thing. This is my second day here. It feels gorgeous. I didn't expect to do a recording like this, but nevertheless, here I am. Alright, so let's play around with our positions. So it's basically putting your chest over different areas around your legs. Putting my knee and chest together. Oh, there you go. And then exploring the depths. But of course here it's more about exploring the angles. You have to be very intuitive and also ingenuitive about your hands and positioning. Where are you going to put your hands so that you can create leverage, so you can find those spots, those areas. And even if it's not a huge stretch feeling, it's still good. Like here, it's interesting. I can feel a stretch being, I can feel that in my glute, but I can also feel this lengthening, this decompression in the hip. So I'm going to just hang here for a little bit. Certain body parts are less obvious to get to, so you have to go and explore. Just like some paths on your journey may not have the loudest, biggest signs. There's some that have the subtle ones, and so, if you pay attention to yourself and your surroundings, those things will show. From here, let's go back into that original position and let's close it out. It's all about improving, doing what feels good. I felt in that situation just going from one stretch to the next. I also admittedly forgot, but now I remembered. You can always rely on my brain for that. 5, 4, I got a friendly ant. 3, 2, and 1. There you go. Some hip activation, some opening of the hip flexor. All right. From here, we did some glute. Now let's extend. Hamstrings. It's all about being more conscious, more awake, more aware, so that these things can illuminate brighter than if we did not have that perspective, consideration, or just the circumstances to be able to understand what is needed for us. Alright, so as you can see, I'm just kind of searching around and just getting in different angles of stretch for my hamstring in this hurdler's position. It feels rather nice and uncomfortable. So I breathe. Okay, and then from here, I'm just gonna give it some movement. Oh, yeah. I can feel like there's something missing. I think what we're gonna do is going to go back into those hip presses. Feels like I missed out on that. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now let's tuck that knee in closer, bring that foot in, and we lean back for a nice glute stretch. So the further I lean back over top of my foot, the more I'm going to feel that in my quad. Which is where I want to feel it here. Really want to feel it there right now. Then I'm going to extend back, getting that hip flexor. Just always adding some rotation is a nice tool or technique to help accentuate whatever you're doing. We're going to take now our foot, the outside of our left foot, place it down on the inside of the thigh. We're going to go into our bind. This is one of my favorite stretches, so I'm going to take my left hand and reach across to the outside of my right foot, extend the leg, and just fold down towards my knee. With the other hand, I'm going to place it onto my knee and push down. And now I've created this beautiful rotational stretch that captures that pocket down by my lower back. And ooh, this one is a big stretch. So while I'm trying to reach towards my opposite knee, I'm trying to peek under my arm. Really get deep into that lower back region. I'm gonna move out of that stretch. Ooh. That was a lot. That was intense. I had to get out of it. I had to back out. And now I bring it back into some windshield wipers. Let's continue on. We're going to go into some glutes again. I'm going to cross one leg over the other and just sit down into that. Flex the foot. Sit with the chest tall. See if both butt cheeks can be on the ground. I'm just going to hold this stretch. Pushing the knee away from you. Alright, and then from here, let the knees collapse over to one side. Look over the opposite shoulder. It's good for the hip flexor here. There's a little bit of rotation now happening in the lumbar, so a gentle opening of that lower back. And I'm going to take the knees over to the other side. And from this position, I do a little knee hug while I push the hip down. Sitting tall, just getting the glutes again. Hooking in, pulling that knee in towards the chest, pushing the other hip down, creating some length through the glute muscle. And then I like to go into my knee stacking stretch. Oh yeah, that's good. Okay, let's bring it back to the cross. And voila, let's switch legs. Cross, getting the glutes a lot, so that's my sign that I want to get the hip flexors, the opposite muscles, soon. Wow, see how that knee just wants to hike up to my face? It doesn't really want to turn away from me. So I'll just leave that and breathe through it. And know that not everything's supposed to be symmetrical and perfect. There's something about the imperfect, the wabi-sabi, the beauty and the impermanence, the imperfect and the transient. Just accepting that when things are the way they are, and if they're not aligned and perfectly straight and quote-unquote right, doesn't mean that they're wrong. It means that your perception of what's right and what's wrong could use a shift. Maybe one perception, yes, for sure, the way that you were raised into thinking that things were right and wrong. It worked for you at that time, but as you shift and change and adapt that perception, that right and wrong, the idea of perfection in another part of your life, another chapter, that may also be right, but most oftentimes it's wrong, it's shifted. But everything is aligned for you in all that it needs to unfold. Okay? Let's take you over to the other side. So even though something doesn't go your way and it feels wrong, feels like you've made a mistake, most likely it's there to teach you something. Why I love failing and making mistakes because I know that I'm learning a lot. Winning can teach you a lot as well, but it just doesn't seem as longevity based. Just a nice dopamine hit. Okay, right now I'm hugging in. Good morning, machine. Okay, and then from here I'll go into my knee over knee stretch and fold into that. Ooh, yeah, that's the one that I needed right here. Right on my butt. Okay. Let's come out of that. And let's shift right over into our all fours. Ooh, hello, fish. Wow. Jumping through. All right, from here we're going to go into our little downward dog to get those hamstrings and calves. Just folding at the hips, nice and strong through the arms, straight so that the muscles don't have to act as much. The joints are now aligned so that they can support the structure. You want to be structured when you do this, not too loose and flimsy or not too muscular about it. It's nice to create some space in the back of the legs. The spaciousness is so nourishing, especially in the morning. Alright, from here we're going to take our right foot and we're going to take a giant step forward. And just here I can feel my hip flexors opening and my groin is opening. So I'm going to introduce some movements, just oscillating, circling around. And from here I'm going to extend and open up. That twist. Placing my back knee on the ground. I'm going to pull my heel up towards my glutes, grab it with my hand, and just bind. This one's a powerful, wow, quad stretch. I'm still twisting. You can also kick back into your hand, create a little more tug through the shoulder. And then now let it go, because it's super potent. Alright, and from here, I'll retuck my toe. And then come back to the other side. First with the downward dog. Alright, let's take that step. Long, circle around. From here, rotate. Oh, that's nice. Music of a construction worker. Playing their instrument, which is whatever that machine is. Nice. From here, place the knee down. Pull the heel towards your bum. And we press into the bottom hand, the right hand, so that your torso remains tall. You rotate. You feel that stretch right on the quad. You can pull it in deeper if you want. Just let yourself relax into it. Yes, it can be very uncomfortable, of course, but that's where things really start to happen, is in the uncomfortable zone. And that's where you breathe, you call upon your tools, distress manage, and release. Ooh. It's not necessarily always stress. Maybe you can think of the word arousal. We're going to decrease the level of arousal of the body, because then we can manage our anxiety through that. Hmm. Okay, and from here we're going to place our knees down. We open up with a camel pose. Sitting on my ankles, placing my hands down and back and wide. I'm just going to slowly pull open my shoulders and press my hips up. Look upside down. Then I'll release. I'm gonna switch up. My ankle's not really loving that. So I'm gonna tuck my toes. I'm gonna try another version. Now with my hands on my heels, I'm gonna press my hips up, pressing my hands into my heels and looking back. This one's really nice too. Oh, pulling my belly button forward, squeezing, retracting my shoulder blades together, feeling it in my biceps, my neck. The whole front side of my body is now being stretched while the back side is being contracted. This is a really healthy, balancing exercise for when we sit down a lot. I would use this in between my meetings online when I'm sitting. Slowly sitting back onto the heels. And then just rebalancing that with a tuck of the toes and a child's pose. You can have a modified child's pose with your hand on the ground. Forearms and hands can come behind you. An easy, slow morning flow here in Bocas del Toro, Panama, on a floating cottage. All right. Well, that was that. Thank you so much for joining me in this easy morning stretch. We got the glutes, the hamstrings, the quads, the hip flexors, the lower back. We did some arms in between. But yeah, I hope you use this stretch sequence during your mornings to bring a little more energy, a little more aliveness, more unitedness and harmony within the body and mind. And hope it sets you off on a really beautiful tone. Thank you so much. Bye.